My mom, who I hadn't seen or heard from in 20 years, suddenly contacted me. She wanted me to donate a kidney to her son from her second marriage. Wait, how did she know I had 3 kidneys? But she didn't seem to. She just kept begging, trying to guilt-trip me with this whole family love thing. I cut to the chase. Let's not talk about love, it gets messy. Let's talk money. Selling her a kidney I didn't need wouldn't be a bad deal. One ordinary evening, I was home from work, soaking my feet and binge-watching TV when a friend request popped up. Hey Lily, it's Mom. I jumped, dropping my chicken feet right into the footbath. Mom, I hadn't seen her in 20 years. She left when I was tiny, maybe 3 or 4, after divorcing my dad. Dad remarried and had 3 more kids. There wasn't really room for me. I grew up basically a weed, living with my grandparents. When I needed a mom most, she vanished. Now that I didn't need her, she pops up. I hesitated, totally thrown, and just ignored it. A little while later, another message. Lily, please accept. Mom really misses you. Yeah, right. Susan Miller hadn't thought of me in 2 decades, and now she missed me? Needed money? Needed someone to take care of her? I pretended not to see it and went to bed. 2, maybe because I didn't accept her friend request. Mom didn't message again. Good. I appreciate people who respect boundaries. But 3 days later, as I left work, there she was, a woman in her 40s, dressed in a beige cashmere outfit, designer bag dangling from her arm, gazing at me with this look. I could see traces of my own face in hers, especially in old photos. She seemed to be doing pretty well for herself. Susan looked surprised and thrilled to see me. Lily, do you remember me? It's your mom. Can we talk? She was so persistent, I just nodded. Fine, let's see what she wanted. 3, we went to a Starbucks near my office. She'd clearly done her homework, knew all about me, and gushed with praise. You're so amazing. Making it out of that small town, you're such a good daughter. I knew it was you the moment I saw you. You look just like me when I was younger. How are you doing? Do you have a boyfriend? Honestly, her fake enthusiasm made me nauseous. After letting her go on for a while, I asked, how did you get my contact information? She stammered. Your Aunt Carol gave it to me. If she could contact my aunt, she could have contacted me anytime. I took a deep breath. What do you want? Her eyes welled up. I know you blame me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to abandon you. She went on in this self-pitying, weak voice. You don't know what it was like married to your father, how your grandparents treated me. I cut her off. I know enough about the past. Their story was ancient history. Basically, they were unhappy, my grandparents were difficult, and my mom ran off leaving me behind. My crappy childhood wasn't unique. It was a common story, I said gently. It would be fake to say I don't blame you. Let's be honest, I don't need a mother now. Whatever you want, just say it. Susan was silent. My calmness probably threw her. Finally, she said, her voice thick with tears. I know I wronged you. It's too late to regret it now. When we're young, we make choices. Lily, I'm sorry. I pulled my hand away from hers. Apology accepted. If that's all, I need to go. I have work tomorrow. I had groceries to buy, dinner to make, laundry to do. I didn't have time for her drama. As I stood up, she panicked. Wait, it's about. She fumbled for her phone, showing me a picture. A young man, maybe 18 or 19, sunny and handsome, with a slight resemblance to me. Who's this? I asked. Her expression softened. Your brother, my son. His name is Ryan. I'd heard she remarried and had a son, so this was him. I nodded. Susan continued quickly. I didn't want to bring this up right away, but time is of the essence. Ryan, he has kidney failure. It's serious. He needs a transplant. For a transplant? Seriously? My heart sank. Even though I had 0 expectations for maternal love, there was still a tiny sting. And, what does this have to do with me? My voice was ice. She grabbed my hand. Lily, please help your brother. He's your family. He's always been such a good boy, a great student. He can't die. I stayed silent. She squeezed my hand tighter, her voice desperate. Lily, please, will you go to the hospital for testing? We've all been tested, and none of us are a match. You and Ryan are siblings, you might be compatible. The doctors say a transplant from a relative is best. Please help us. It's a life. I stared at her like she was crazy. Did she know about my extra kidney? She didn't seem to. It was ironic. She had a daughter with 3 kidneys and a son whose 2 weren't working. I had a feeling she was the source of the problem. 5, I didn't even know I had 3 kidneys until a company physical 6 months ago. The doctor said I had a UTI and sent me for more tests. That's when they found my little secret. The doctor called it a duplex kidney, a birth defect that happens in something like 1 in 1,500 people. I freaked out. What do I do? I'd grown up basically ignored, sometimes sick for days with no one caring, as resilient as a cockroach. I never knew anything was wrong. The doctor said, usually if it doesn't cause problems, you leave it alone. Regular checkups are enough, but you have some ureter dilation. So, I asked nervously, even though the extra kidney functions normally, it can cause pressure as you grow. In severe cases, it needs to be removed. He said my case wasn't serious yet, just something to monitor. Thinking back to that appointment, and listening to Susan, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Her son needed a kidney, and I had a spare. Since I wasn't saying anything, just looking at her strangely, she assumed I was upset. She started crying, saying all sorts of things, how sorry she was, how much she loved her son. I know I failed you. Ryan's illness is my punishment. Please help me. I can't live if he dies. He's such a good, kind boy. Please save him. You two could have a wonderful relationship as brother and sister. She was well maintained, a pretty crying middle-aged woman, very pitiful, but I felt nothing. After a while I just said, you abandoned me. Let's not talk about love. It hurts. Let's talk money. Her eyes widened. Money. I couldn't believe she was playing dumb. I was in my 20s. Did I need her love? Or some brother I'd never met? What I needed was money, she stammered. Well, yes, I should compensate you. How much do you want? She looked apprehensive, like she was trying to appear richer than she was. I held up a finger. $100,000. Selling her a kidney I didn't need wouldn't be a bad deal. She gasped. $100,000? Most people, facing a birth parent they hadn't seen in 20 years, would hesitate to talk about money out of pride or whatever. Not me. I'd once lived on $100 for 3 months, Eating nothing but ramen. I worked my way through college juggling multiple jobs. Money was a primal need. Maybe I was too blunt. Her tears dried up instantly. Her face hardened. We're family. You and your brother. I smiled sweetly. Brother? I have plenty of brothers. My dad had 2 more after he divorced you. Thanks to them, I never had new clothes growing up. I didn't even get to eat the pork we butchered at New Year's. Honestly, my dad didn't abuse me. He just forgot I existed. My grandparents barely fed me. If I hadn't been a good student, and the village chief hadn't convinced my dad to keep me in school, I would have been traded for a bride price long ago. Susan seemed shocked. Why would he treat you like that? You're his daughter. That was hilarious. Haven't you heard? A child without a mother is like a weed. How could a child abandoned by both parents possibly have a good life? Wasn't it obvious? Susan was speechless. I chuckled. I survived this long on my own. If you want my help, you'll have to compensate me. 7. Seeing I was serious, she sighed. I'll have to discuss this with my husband, I said. Let me know when you've decided. If she didn't want to pay, if she wanted my kidney for free, she could stop wasting my time. I called my Aunt Carol. She'd been the only decent relative. She'd sneak me a few dollars, tell me to eat well, give me her daughter's hand-me-downs. She had 2 kids of her own, not much money, but her small kindnesses meant the world to me. Aunt Carol's voice boomed through the phone. Did that woman contact you? Yeah, I said. She somehow found me a few days ago, wanted your number. I heard she married well, has money, so I figured whatever. Don't be polite to her. Make her pay. That's my aunt. I smiled. Her son is sick, needs a kidney. She wants mine. My aunt exploded. What the hell? I thought she had a conscience. God damn it. I sighed. Susan hadn't contacted me in over 2 decades. And now she wanted to harvest my organs. Unbelievable. Is she actually rich? Or is it just for show? I asked. My request for $100,000 had seemed to rattle her. My aunt cursed some more. I heard her husband owns a trucking company. They live in a fancy house, drive expensive cars, so they could afford it. I said, okay, thanks. Aunt Carol said quickly, Lily, don't listen to her. You can't just give away a kidney. You're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. You don't owe them anything. They owe you. Her words warned me. Don't worry, I know. I didn't think Susan owed me anything, but the kidney was mine, and she needed my permission to take it. 2 days later, Susan was back. This time, she wore a plain coat and carried a canvas tote bag. No designer purse. Was she playing poor? She launched into a sob story. Things haven't been easy. We look successful, but we've spent everything on Ryan's treatment. The surgery will be expensive, and there are ongoing medical costs. She rambled on, then said, her eyes watery, Lily, I'm struggling too. I rolled my eyes. So what are you saying? She took my hand, pleading, let's just go to the hospital for the testing. Okay? I shook my head. No. She looked stunned. Lily, your brother is very ill. Even if he weren't your brother, it's a human life. Can't you find it in your heart to help? Oh, here we go. Someone who's never known kindness can't be expected to be empathetic, I said flatly. My heart is harder than stone. I'm tougher on myself than anyone else. If you want my help, just pay up. Skip the emotional blackmail. I'll help if the price is right. Seeing I wasn't budging, Susan gritted her teeth. Fine, I'll pay, but you have to get tested first. Deal? 9. I didn't mind the testing. If we weren't a match, she'd leave me alone. If we were, I could make some money. My extra kidney was a ticking time bomb anyway, but I wasn't doing this for free. I told her I wanted $5,000 for my time, payable upfront, non-refundable, regardless of the test results. She gaped. You're that desperate for money? Yes, pay me or I walk. Susan closed her eyes. Fine, I'll pay. I watched her transfer the money, then added, make a note that it's a gift. Her eye twitched, but she did it. Once the money was in my account, we went to the hospital. The testing began. I'd done some research. It involved blood tests, antigen matching, HLA typing, plus an ultrasound to check my kidney structure and overall health. A match wasn't guaranteed. During the ultrasound, the technician said, hey, you know you have a duplex kidney, right? Yeah, I said. Can I still donate with this condition? Even with a spare, it wasn't necessarily usable. The technician frowned. It's complicated. Depends on the kidney's function, structure, your overall health. We'll need to evaluate everything. I nodded. Okay. Then came the wait. A week later, Susan called, her voice shaking with excitement. Lily, the results are in. You're a match.